She doesn't love you for who you are. She loves you for what you provide, not just money, security, direction, status, presence. And the moment she senses she's the one leading instead of following, she loses respect. She smiles, but she pulls away. She's still next to you, but emotionally she's gone. What they told you about love being unconditional, it's not true, not in her world. And the sooner you understand this, the sooner you stop bleeding for attention that's never coming back. If you're listening, your entire life is about to change. You've been lied to. You were told that if you're kind, if you're always there, if you prove you're worthy, she'll love you forever. But it never works. You give and give and give until you're empty. You try harder, buy more, text more, bend more. And she still drifts, because deep down you're doing it backwards. You've been set up to lose. Nobody gave you the rule book. Today, you're getting it. If you care about your soul, your peace, your power, comment. No more begging right now. Let this be the moment you stop negotiating your worth. Number 1. You're built to lead. While the world tells you to soften, to blend in, to shrink yourself so she can feel bigger, understand this. Every time you dilute your power to make her feel comfortable, you lose a piece of the man you were born to be. She doesn't want a man who steps aside so she can lead. She wants a man so rooted in his direction that her entire being feels safe to follow it. You're not here to beg for her love, to constantly explain yourself, or to seek her permission. You are here to build, to command, to decide, to lead. That's not oppression, that's your nature, and deep down she's starving for it. She doesn't say it out loud. She'll pretend she wants equality, but observe closely. The moment you become indecisive, the moment you put her on a pedestal, the moment you wait for her approval, her attraction withers. Not because she's cruel, but because biologically, psychologically, she's wired to follow strength. And when she doesn't find it in you, she panics. She starts micromanaging, controlling, disrespecting, not because she's dominant, but because she doesn't trust you to handle the storm. That's why her words don't match her actions. She'll say she wants you to be more open, more emotional, more in tune. But when you expose too much softness too soon, she sees you as her equal, not her rock. Her best friend, not her man. She needs your edge, your mystery, your decisiveness. She needs to know that no matter how emotional she gets, you remain unmoved, unshaken, focused. Because if you can't stay calm when she's spiraling, how will you protect her in real chaos? If your life revolves around her, how can she trust that you won't lose yourself when things get hard? Stop being scared to lead. Lead with strength, with values, with direction. Speak with conviction. Take her hand when she hesitates. Tell her where you're going and watch her fall deeper into your world. Do not lead from ego. Lead from vision. Lead from purpose. Build your body. Sharpen your mind. Guard your energy. A woman is drawn to the man who is drawn to something greater than her. If she becomes your god, she will punish you like one. But if your mission is your temple, she will pray beside you. Want her to respect you, then start respecting your time. Stop being overly available. If she texts you during your workout, reply after. If you're deep in work, don't drop it for her FaceTime. If she's upset and testing you emotionally, don't match her chaos. Ground her with your silence. Your silence is your frame. Your eye contact is your truth. Your tone is your boundary. Every second you operate from grounded masculine energy, she feels safe, even when she complains. She doesn't want you to fold. She wants you to stay centered. You think you're being kind by constantly adjusting for her, but every time you do, you're chipping away at your backbone. And without that, she can't lean on you. She will try to lead, not because she wants to, but because you stopped. And when she does, she'll resent you. She'll talk to you like you're beneath her, pull away sexually, roll her eyes at your plans. Not because she's mean, but because she's screaming for you to wake up. She wants to be led, not controlled, not ordered, led, with clarity, with certainty, with calm, masculine presence. That's why she loved you in the beginning, not because you worshipped her, but because you made her feel something she hadn't felt in years, safe, excited, challenged, seen. You were unpredictable, you had mystery, you had power, and then you gave it away to make her more comfortable, and she slowly detached. Take it back. Don't ask. Reclaim it through action. Plan your life first. Train your body. Stack your wins. Cut the noise. Stop seeking her validation. Let her come into your frame or leave. Either way, you're moving forward. Leadership isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It simply decides. Every man listening, you know this already. You feel it in your chest. That burning frustration, that confusion, that pain of giving everything and still not being enough. It ends when you stop trying to be enough for her and start being more than enough for yourself. From this moment forward, decide. Who are you becoming? What are you building? What will you no longer tolerate? And the more you walk that path, the more women will feel it. They won't always say it, but they'll sense it. In the way they look at you, in the way they stop testing you, in the way they respect you without you saying a word. Women don't follow words, they follow energy. And if your energy is anchored in vision, discipline, and truth, you will never have to beg for her love again. She will choose you, again and again. Not because you chased her, but because you walked so powerfully toward your purpose. She had no choice but to follow. Number 2. You set the frame. You set the frame or you get framed. There is no in between. If she defines the rules, the tone, the rhythm, you're not leading, you're surviving. And survival mode is not attractive. She doesn't follow survival. She follows power. Not power that controls, but power that contains, power that knows, power that doesn't explain itself. Most men today are invisible because they've built their identity around making her comfortable instead of being who they are. You sacrifice your voice for her approval, your values for her attention, your purpose for her peace, and then wonder why she doesn't respect you. You gave her the pen and let her write your story, then cry when she closes the book. She can't respect what she controls. She can't desire what she leads. If she's setting the pace, testing your limits, interrupting your mission, she's not evil. She's reacting to your absence, the absence of masculine leadership, the absence of grounded energy, the absence of decisions made without apology. Every relationship is a power exchange, and she's always scanning for strength. She's looking to see if your emotional world can hold hers without drowning, and if it can't, she'll either lead, manipulate, or detach. That's why your silence is louder than your compliments. That's why your boundaries teach her more than your promises. She learns you by how you hold yourself, not how much you give her. She trusts the man who doesn't break when she's angry, who doesn't shrink when she's critical, who doesn't beg when she pulls away. You think you're loving her by adjusting, but you're killing attraction by folding, because every time you shift your frame to match hers, you erase the very contrast that made her feel feminine in the first place. She doesn't want another emotional mirror. She wants to feel your edge, and the edge comes from clarity, the kind of clarity that says, this is what I stand for, this is where I'm going. You're welcome to join, but I'm not slowing down. That's not arrogance, that's purpose. And a man on purpose doesn't chase peace. He creates it by mastering himself. That's the frame. Frame isn't about controlling her. It's about being uncontrollable by her mood, being immovable by her chaos. When she tests you, and she will, she's begging to feel that you won't flinch, that your world isn't rearranged every time she has an emotion. She wants to feel your stability, not in words, in presence, in decision, in your ability to say no without explaining, to walk away without fear, to enforce your standards without guilt. Because when she knows you can lead yourself, she relaxes into your leadership. And that's what she's been craving under all the noise. A man who doesn't need her approval to feel alive. A man who doesn't wait for her comfort to speak truth. A man who doesn't dance around her triggers, but invites her to grow beyond them. Most men today are scared of her emotions, so they play safe. They tiptoe around her wounds. They filter every word through a lens of, will this upset her? And then wonder why the passion is gone. Passion dies when polarity dies. And polarity dies the moment you hand her your frame. You must be the mountain, not the sand. You must be the ocean floor, not the waves. Because she will storm, she will cry, she will lash out. But what she's really asking is, can you hold me in this? And if you meet her chaos with your own, if you lose control to calm her, if you seek to be liked more than to be respected, you've lost. Not just her, but yourself. You were never meant to be her therapist, her emotional sponge, or her best friend. You were meant to be her anchor, her clarity, her direction. And clarity doesn't come from checking in with her feelings. It comes from knowing your values before you meet her. If you're changing your beliefs to keep her around, she doesn't love you. She tolerates the version of you that doesn't offend her. But that version can't lead her. That version can't excite her. That version dies quietly in her friend zone. You don't need to raise your voice to set the frame. You need to raise your standards in what you accept, in how you move, in what you choose. Frame is maintained by discipline, not dominance. When you keep your word to yourself, when you rise early, train hard, speak truth, and act without waiting, she feels it. She doesn't need you to explain. She just needs to feel that you've chosen yourself first. And when you do, she finally feels safe to choose you. The modern man thinks he has to impress her, but what impresses her most is a man she can't move. A man whose mission is louder than her manipulation. A man whose eyes are fixed on legacy, not her attention. When you live like that, you never have to demand respect. You command it without trying. And if she can't rise into your frame, she will fall away. Not because you're wrong, but because she's not ready. Let her. Your frame filters out weakness. It repels disrespect. It protects your purpose. So who are you when she's screaming? Who are you when she's emotional? Who are you when she threatens to leave? If your answer changes, you never had a frame. You had a performance. And performances always end. But a man rooted in his values, his direction, his principles, that man never has to perform. He just lives. He breathes leadership. She either joins his story or walks away. But either way, he never loses himself. That's what she's really drawn to. That's what she needs. Number 3, don't fill her gaps. She doesn't need you to fix her. She doesn't want a therapist, a savior, or a man who overfunctions so much that she forgets how to show up herself. The more you try to complete her, the more she sees you as incomplete. When you take responsibility for her healing, her peace, her happiness, you're stealing the exact thing that helps her evolve. Pressure. The feminine grows through surrender, and surrender only comes when there's a masculine energy powerful enough to let her fall apart without trying to glue her back together. She doesn't need you to wipe her tears. She needs to know that when she cries, you're not panicking. She doesn't want you to solve her every insecurity. She wants to feel that you remain grounded when she's a mess. Because the moment you jump in to save her from her own emotions, you confirm that she's too much for you. And that destroys her trust in your strength. You're not supposed to be her emotional punching bag or her emotional pacifier. You're supposed to be her mirror, reflecting her truth back to her with presence, not pity. Every time you shield her from discomfort, she resents you more, because you've made her weaker. You've robbed her of growth. And now she feels like your project, not your partner. She may say she wants you to be more emotionally available, but what she really wants is a man emotionally disciplined, a man who listens but doesn't break, who witnesses but doesn't absorb, who holds her pain without making it his own. When you do everything for her, give her too much reassurance, and act like her source of stability instead of being a man on his own stable foundation, you become a crutch, and people resent their crutches. They hate depending on what they didn't earn. She can't appreciate the love you pour if you hand it over before she's earned it. You think unconditional giving makes you noble, but in reality it makes you forgettable, because no one values what's given without challenge. She values the man who gives from abundance, not from desperation, the one who says, "I'm here with you," but not, "I'll collapse with you." She respects the man who doesn't abandon himself to soothe her, who doesn't trade his principles to protect her feelings, who doesn't water down his truth to prevent her from feeling discomfort. She needs that discomfort, that tension, that edge. That's what forces her to grow. When you speak truth into her chaos, you're not hurting her, you're helping her rise. And if she walks away because of that truth, let her go. Because the woman who can't handle your standards will only ever shrink in your presence. She will pull you into her chaos if you don't hold your frame. She will test how far you'll bend, how much you'll give, how quickly you'll submit to her storms. And if you do, she loses trust. She doesn't need another man trying to rescue her. She needs a man who shows her she was never broken to begin with, that she's capable, that she's powerful, that her feelings aren't a fire to be extinguished but a flame to be understood. That kind of masculine doesn't shrink in the heat. He grows stronger. You want her to respect you? Stop being the man who always says yes. Start saying no when it compromises your mission. You want her to admire you. Then stop explaining your standards. Let your life speak for itself. And when she sees that you don't need her to validate your choices, that you don't need her to complete you, that you aren't driven by the urge to earn her approval, she'll stop testing you. She'll start respecting you. She'll lean into you, not because you fixed her, but because you made her feel safe enough to fix herself. The modern man has been lied to, conditioned to believe that emotional support means emotional sacrifice, that to love a woman is to carry her burdens as your own. That's not love. That's codependency, and it kills desire faster than anything else. A woman desires the man who challenges her, not the one who cushions her every fall. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be seen, called out, led, but only by the man who has mastered his own emotions first. So build yourself. Stop looking at her as the reward. You are the reward. Your presence, your wisdom, your groundedness. That's what she can't find anywhere else. And that's what keeps her coming back. Not the man who gives everything too soon, but the man who knows his energy is sacred, who gives slowly, intentionally, and only to those who have earned access. That's how you don't fill her gaps, because you're too busy filling your own. You grow your body, you sharpen your mind, you build your legacy. And when you walk in that power, she can finally relax into her feminine, because she knows you're not here to rescue her, you're here too. Rise, and she's welcome to rise beside you, if she can keep up. Number 4. Mystery builds desire. She doesn't lose interest because you didn't love her enough. She loses interest because she figured you out, too quickly, too easily. And the truth is, the moment she stops wondering, she starts wandering. That's the law of polarity. Masculine energy creates the unknown, the edge, the pull. Feminine energy melts into it. But when you explain yourself too often, text her too much, open up too soon, flood her with availability, you destroy the very tension that made her curious about you in the first place. And without curiosity, there's no desire. Without desire, there's no polarity. Without polarity, you become the friend, the therapist, the backup plan, and that's not where men belong. You weren't designed to be her emotional tampon. You were designed to be her challenge, her grounding force, her intrigue. That doesn't mean lying or manipulating. It means living, with depth, with direction, with presence, so that she has to earn her way into your world, not assume she belongs in it. When she texts, don't reply instantly unless you mean it. When she asks what you're doing, don't tell her every detail like a diary. When she tries to pull attention, don't drop your purpose to entertain her boredom. Your time is sacred. Your silence is powerful. Your energy is gold. Protect it. Make her wonder why you're so focused. Make her feel like she's earned your attention, not that you were dying to give it away. Most men give too much too soon because they confuse interest with investment. They think opening up quickly builds connection. But connection that isn't earned doesn't last. It feels cheap, and she will treat it like it is. Slow burns create deep fires. You want her obsessed? You want her thinking about you when you're not around? Then give her space to imagine you. Let her wonder what's behind your eyes. Let her feel your presence, not your pressure. When you walk in a room, speak less. Move with calm. Let your vibe speak before your voice. The man who needs to be seen is insecure. The man who is already seen without trying, that's the man she desires. Your mystery is not about being aloof or cold. It's about being full of purpose, of meaning, of work, of silence. When your life is rich, you don't need to overshare. You're not hiding. You're just selective. And that's magnetic. She doesn't fantasize about the man who's always available. She fantasizes about the man who makes her wait, who doesn't reply right away, who lives first, texts later. Not out of ego, but because he's busy becoming better. That's what inspires her. That's what keeps her craving your presence when your absence is just as meaningful. Do you always have to be available to prove you care? Number caring isn't measured by minutes. It's measured by weight. And if every message you send is light, predictable, overly sweet, it dies in her inbox. But if every interaction feels grounded, calm, masculine, present, she feels it. She reads it twice. She holds her breath. She smiles and doesn't know why. Because you've mastered the art of presence without chasing. Mystery builds desire, because the unknown awakens her feminine. She's drawn to the man who doesn't put her on a pedestal, who doesn't brag about his life, who lets her discover it layer by layer. You don't need to impress. You just need to express, without attachment. Stop sharing everything. Start living deeply. Your hobbies, your goals, your morning routine, your spiritual life. These things should be so rich that she wants in, not because you invited her, but because she sees the quality of the life you've built. You don't tell her your plans. You execute them. You don't tell her how disciplined you are. She feels it when you say no to distractions. You don't tell her how many women want you. She senses it in your confidence. Mystery is not a trick. It's a truth that only the rarest men embody. Because most men are too desperate to be liked, too hungry to be approved, too eager to be validated. And that eagerness kills the very tension that makes her respect you. She needs to feel that you could be with her, but you're not chasing her. That you care, but you don't need. That you're present, but not performing. This is what separates the unforgettable from the forgettable. The man who she forgets by Monday morning and the man she dreams about 5 years later. Because he didn't flood her with noise. He made her listen to his silence. So build your mystery, not with games, but with purpose. Wake up earlier, train harder, read more, build more, speak less. Move like a king, not a clown. Your kingdom doesn't need announcements. It needs walls. Walls that keep the wrong ones out. And when she's the right one, she'll feel it. She'll knock, she'll wait, she'll respect the pace. And when you let her in, it will mean something. Not because you were hiding, but because you were building something too valuable to hand over to someone who didn't earn it. That's why she needs you more than you'll ever need her. Because she's looking for a man who doesn't fold, who doesn't flaunt, who doesn't follow, but one who walks with such depth, silence, and direction she can't help but follow. That's the kind of man she never forgets. Number 5. You're the prize. You've spent your life believing she's the prize, that you win her, chase her, impress her, prove yourself to her. And every time you did that, something inside you felt off, because deep down you knew it was backwards. You knew no matter how much effort you gave, how many compliments you dished out, how much attention you poured, it was never enough. And not because she was ungrateful, but because she was never meant to be the prize. You are, not because you're above her, but because without your leadership, your strength, your clarity, she has nothing to surrender into. The prize isn't who looks better in photos. It's who has the vision, the direction, the presence that transforms a woman's world. That's you. But only if you reclaim it. Only if you stop chasing and start choosing. Because a man who chooses doesn't perform. He evaluates. He doesn't run toward attention. He walks in value. And that value isn't loud. It's not built on followers or flash. It's built in silence, in the hours no one sees. It's in your self-respect, in the way you carry yourself in rooms where you speak less but command more. In the way you say no without guilt. In the way you cut off access to your energy unless it's earned. That is the mark of the prize. Not arrogance, but weight. Not charm, but depth. Not flattery, but authority. And when you own it, women feel it. They soften. They submit. They stop testing and start choosing. But you can't fake it. You can't pretend to be the prize while seeking validation from her likes, her replies, her approval. You must live as the prize. You must make your life so full that she becomes the addition, not the purpose. Your business, your training, your standards, your solitude, these are your kingdom. And your kingdom doesn't beg. It attracts. The moment you act like a fan, she treats you like one. That's why she responds to the men who don't try. Not because they're rude, but because they don't need. They're centered, focused, busy becoming. And that busy energy is magnetic, because women are drawn to completion. And when you are whole, when you don't seek, when you don't impress, she chases, she earns, she invests. That's what makes her feel alive. That's what gives her the thrill of pursuit. Not the man who's always available, but the one who makes her qualify. And qualifying doesn't mean playing games. It means living in purpose so clearly that her presence must enhance it, not distract from it. You think being emotionally available is enough. But if your emotions aren't disciplined, if your energy is scattered, if your purpose is lost, she loses interest. She doesn't leave because you didn't give enough. She leaves because you forgot who you were. You handed over your frame, your standards, your essence just to keep her happy. And in doing so, made yourself forgettable. You were never meant to orbit her life. You were meant to build a life that orbits your mission. And when your mission is clear, your value is clear. She respects that. She trusts that. She desires that. Not the man who asks her what to do, the man who already knows. Not the man who buys her love, the man whose presence alone feels like home. That's what makes you the prize. Your ability to say no, your refusal to beg, your comfort with walking away when she tests your boundaries. The prize isn't desperate. The prize doesn't chase. The prize doesn't over-explain. He leads. He decides. He moves forward. He gives love with intention, not addiction. And the more grounded you are in that, the more magnetic you become. But it requires sacrifice. You must give up needing to be liked. You must stop caring if she stays or goes. You must kill the boy inside you who waits for her to choose him, and become the man who chooses himself so powerfully that she begs to be chosen. That's what women really want. A man who sees himself first, who loves his path more than her approval, who would rather be alone in truth than together in weakness. And when she feels that, she gives everything. Not because you demanded it, but because you became it. Her loyalty, her respect, her surrender, all of it flows to the man who doesn't seek it, but who earns it by mastering himself. So master your body, master your emotions, master your money, master your habits. Don't do it for her. Do it because it's who you are, because every time you compromise that for connection, you lose both. She's not the finish line. She's a witness to your evolution, to your purpose, to your reign. And when she sees you walking with that kind of energy, calm, clear, dominant, detached, she knows. She knows you're not like the rest. She knows you don't need her. She knows that if she doesn't meet your standard, another will, and that knowing changes her. She stops playing games. She stops flaking. She starts investing. And that's when desire explodes. Not from gifts, not from compliments, but from contrast, from feeling your depth, from knowing your love is rare, not because you hide it, but because you protect it. Number 6, power comes from walking away. She will never fully respect you until she knows you're willing to walk away. Not just say it, not threaten it, not hint at it when you're frustrated, but to actually leave, calmly, silently, without anger, without seeking closure, without looking back. Because walking away is not about hurting her. It's about proving to yourself that your self-respect has no price tag. It's about choosing your peace over her presence, your standards over her approval, your dignity over temporary pleasure. And when you finally do it, when you walk with silence and certainty, everything changes. Because now she sees what you've always known, that you are the prize, that your attention is sacred, and that you will never again beg someone to stay in your life who disrespects your worth. The man who stays too long loses himself. He becomes a shell. He tries harder, gives more, sacrifices deeper, and gets less in return every time. Because the more you tolerate, the less she invests. The more you justify her disrespect, the more she loses attraction. The more you forgive what you should walk away from, the more she questions your strength. She doesn't need a man who clings. She needs a man who chooses, who can walk away from beauty, from sex, from history, from attachment, if it means protecting his self-worth. That's power. And that kind of power rewrites the relationship, because when you don't need her, she finally feels the truth, that your love is not owed, it's earned, that your presence is not permanent, it's conditional on respect, that your time is not free, it's reserved for those who value it. Most men are terrified of being alone, so they settle for being tolerated. They trade their edge for attention, their boundaries for comfort, their truth for company, and wonder why they feel empty. But you weren't born to be a placeholder. You weren't designed to be an emotional sponge. You are a man, and your presence is a gift. You must act like it. That means when she plays games, you exit. When she disrespects your time, you disappear. When she tests your limits, you enforce them without explaining. And when the love feels forced, when the effort feels one-sided, when you've said everything that needs to be said and nothing changes, you walk, not in weakness, in strength. Because walking away isn't quitting. It's choosing yourself. It's reclaiming your identity. It's remembering that her absence cannot compete with the pain of losing your soul. And yes, it will hurt. Yes, your chest will feel hollow. Your mind will fight you. Your emotions will scream to go back. But you must not. Because returning to a woman who only values you when you're gone is the fastest way to kill your self-respect. If she only chases you when you walk, let her keep chasing from a distance. Do not reward inconsistency with closeness. Do not confuse apology with change. Do not accept crumbs and call it connection. You teach her how to love you by what you accept. So raise the bar. Build your world. Become so deeply grounded in your path that she either aligns with it or fades out of it. And if she fades, you keep walking. Because she was never the destination. You are. You are the mission, the empire, the flame. She can add to it, but she can never replace it. You must live like that, speak like that, breathe like that. And when you do, women feel it. They sense that your love is rare, that your loyalty is priceless, that your presence isn't available on demand. It's earned by respect, commitment, and alignment. And if she can't meet you there, let her fall away. Your peace is too expensive to trade for temporary pleasure. Your energy is too powerful to waste on someone who hasn't earned it. Your time is too limited to pour into people who drain it. Walking away is your reset. It's your line in the sand. It's the death of the boy who chased and the birth of the man who chooses. Choose power. Choose discipline. Choose silence over chaos. Choose action over begging. Choose yourself. And in that choice, you will remember who you are, not just in relationships, but in life. You are the man who doesn't need to be chosen to feel worthy. You are the man who doesn't fear rejection because he knows rejection is redirection. You are the man who walks with such clarity, such groundedness, such peace, that any woman who loses you knows she'll never find you again. That is the man she desires. That is the man she surrenders to. That is the man she needs more than he'll ever need her. And that man only exists when you finally decide that no woman, no feeling, no history, no fantasy is worth more than your self-respect. Walk away and watch how everything starts chasing you. Number 7. Your focus is your leverage. She pays attention to the man who pays attention to something greater than her, because no woman can resist the gravitational pull of a man who's completely absorbed by his purpose. She might not say it, but her body knows when you're distracted, and her heart knows when you're focused. When your life is full of mission, not validation, she feels it. She leans in, because your focus is rare. Most men today are addicted to reaction. They live for her response, her attention, her emotion, and every time they check their phone to see if she replied, they bleed value. Because nothing kills attraction faster than a man who puts her above his purpose. She doesn't want to be the center of your life. She wants to orbit a life worth following. When your eyes are locked on something higher, business, discipline, mastery, you become magnetic. Not because of your looks, but because of your direction. Direction is what drives desire. Not flowers, not dinners, not sweet messages. She wants to see that you have something to wake up for, and that thing isn't her. Not because she doesn't matter, but because if she becomes the reason you breathe, she'll suffocate. She needs to feel your energy going somewhere, not collapsing into her. You must build relentlessly, without apology. You must train your body like it's the last body you'll ever live in. You must earn money with integrity, so you never have to rely on anyone. You must master your emotions, so no woman ever controls your state. You must sharpen your thinking, so you can see through manipulation and weakness. When your focus is high, your energy is scarce, and what is scarce is valued. That's why she starts chasing when you stop watching. That's why she respects you when you don't chase. Not because she wants you to ignore her, but because she wants to feel your world is bigger than her. Women do not want to be your escape. They want to be inspired by your obsession, with legacy, with excellence, with vision. But if you treat her as the reward, you become the one trying to earn her. And when you do that, she starts testing. She pulls away, she criticizes, she becomes cold, not because she wants to leave, but because she wants to feel your frame again. And you lost it the moment you stopped pursuing your edge. Every day you skip your routine for her comfort, you lose edge. Every night you ignore your calling to hold her through chaos, you bleed value. She doesn't want to be held by a man who forgot his mission. She wants to be held by the man who never forgets it, even when she cries. That kind of man is rare, because most men fold. They compromise. They break structure. They abandon self-mastery. And then they beg for attention they've already lost. You must never abandon the path. Your morning must be sacred. Your work must be consistent. Your values must be sharp. You don't train because it looks good. You train because it gives you gravity. You don't build wealth to impress her. You build because men without resources are slaves to people with them. You don't read to be smart. You read so you're never blind in a world full of lies. This is leverage, the ability to walk away, to choose your schedule, to move in silence, to protect your time like a king guards his throne. You don't respond to every message. You don't entertain every emotion. You don't explain every standard, because your focus is forward. And she sees it. She senses it. That's why she asks about your goals. That's why she gets quiet when you're dialed in. That's why she tests your attention to see if you'll break. And when you don't, her attraction multiplies, because your presence is now currency, rare, valuable, untouchable. You must earn your way into that kind of power. It's not given. It's not gifted. It's built in sweat, in solitude, in silence. No one claps for it. No one sees it. But she feels it. And if she doesn't, another woman will. Not because you played games, but because you didn't play at all. You focused. You built. You walked. And she followed. Not out of duty, but out of admiration. Because deep down, every woman wants to be with the man who doesn't need her, but chooses her from overflow. The man who doesn't pause his life to prove his love, but proves his love by not pausing. You are not her therapist. You are not her savior. You are not her distraction. You are the lighthouse, the signal, the edge. She finds herself in your discipline. She finds her softness in your structure, but only if you stay focused. No distractions, no excuses, no detours. And when you master this, you stop asking where she went, because now she's asking where you are. Not because you ghosted her, but because you rose so high she had to look up to find you. That is the man she needs. That is the man she respects. That is the man she surrenders to. You were never meant to chase her. You were meant to build a life so strong, so disciplined, so magnetic, that she can't help but choose you. Not because you begged, but because you became undeniable. She needs your leadership, your edge, your silence, your clarity. She needs you more than you'll ever need her, but only if you remember who you are and never compromise it. If this hit home, comment, "I choose purpose." Support this channel to help us reach more men who need to hear the truth. Your support keeps this message alive, raw, and powerful. Subscribe, share, and become part of a movement that refuses to settle. Because the world needs more men who remember their worth and walk in it.